Hello, my name is Stephanie Toman and I run the ICDL programme. Advanced Qualification Presentation is part of those modules that we run. So this video series is going to concentrate on that advanced presentation, also known as A227MP. The first sessions that I'm going to do online videos on will be the preparation section and master slides and templates. Now, these sections that you will see each of the start of each of the videos will be found in the manuals that go with this. So the manual is the overall course, and each individual online session demo that you'll be seeing for each week's lecture will involve some of the sections, more than one usually, together. They'll also be followed by another video with weekly revision exercises on that lecture, and they will be demonstrating the questions. For example, on this one, the first weekly revision exercise video will be on questions 1 to 4, and that will be explained when you go into the video how we do that. So we're going to start with preparation and then go on to master slides and templates for advanced presentation. Okay, so if I take you to the materials that you'll be needing for these series of lectures, they're on Aula and they'll be under the lecture materials. Make sure you do get the right folders for each of the sections, because they won't work if you pick up the manual ones, for example, or the weekly revision ones. So make sure you're in week 2, section 1, open that one, and we're doing preparation section 1. So let's open that up. And what we've got is in this section this week, we have a presentation, which I'm going to open. We've got some compatibility file formats that are part of the syllabus we'll have a quick look at, and some slide examples as well as work files to bring in. So first of all, let's have a look at the PowerPoint. So open up the one lecture slides, preparation and master slides. Okay, so you can see how these work. We're going to work through them. And then I'm going to, when we get to the areas here, we're going to bring some information in and we're going to follow the instructions together and work on it. So to begin with, preparation. So part of the syllabus and the PowerPoint presentation, I should say, using PowerPoint qualification, is to know certain design considerations. So this is the first thing we need to think about. The exam will have some multiple choice areas right at the beginning of this section when you're doing your exam, and you would expect to know some of these areas quite well. So make sure that you do cover them. They'll also be covered in the practice papers, etc., just so you get used to it. So knowing how to plan, these are the sort of areas we're going to look at. Know how to plan, colour schemes, those sorts of things, accessibility issues, using background colours, etc., etc. And then there's a word process outline for text. And the main thing that most people want to look at are the master slides. So this is the area we're going to cover. Okay, so to begin with, design considerations. We talk about things that you may not be aware of in the audience, but you need to be when you're creating your masterpiece, your PowerPoint presentation. You need to think about the age of the audience. Is it going to be funny? If they're younger, teenagers, how would you keep those engaged? If it was an older generation, how would you encourage those sort of groups to sit and listen to your PowerPoint? So it has to be applicable to the age. Even if the subject area isn't slightly, then you make the PowerPoint presentation sort of more towards that group. Knowledge of your audience is extremely important. Occupation of an audience is important if you're doing a PowerPoint in the working world, but cultural background particularly important. We do not want to put things into our presentation that will offend part of your audience. The size of the audience and the room is also important, because if your room layout is very sort of unsuitable for you standing at the front with a data projector, have they got a data projector even? So you need to think about all these things. Is a microphone needed if it's a very large room? What time do you have available? What pictures could you use instead of text? Because pictures can really get the message across quite quickly. Charts, you don't want lots and lots of data on your PowerPoint. So all these things are things you need to consider as far as your design. Accessibility is another important area. Color contrast. If you don't use this very dark with light text or vice versa, where you've got very dark text with light backgrounds, then a lot of stuff can't be seen, particularly if you're at the back of the room or you have eyesight problems. So avoid those color contrasts, and also things like red and green together, blue and yellow, particularly because you could have somebody with color blindness in your audience. Font size is particularly important when you put something onto a slide, text onto a slide. It will normally in PowerPoint give you an idea of what size it would expect you to be using. So you can sometimes reduce that or enlarge it, but be aware that usually they give you an idea. For this example, and this heading is 40. They would normally give you something that would be considered good practice when you're doing a PowerPoint. So don't reduce it too much or enlarge it too much. When it comes to font, people don't always think about it, but when you've got things like sans serif font, in other words, little bits on the side, you can notice that if you use let's just have a look at Times New Roman. So if we go type in T, go down to Times New Roman, Times New Roman has like little bits on it. Whereas if we go to Comic Sans or Calibri, that one will do. And Calibri doesn't, it's very clear in its font style. Accessibility issues, particularly things need to be viewed for people that have difficulties with seeing the screen. There is alternative text used on graphics and screen readers that can read that for them. So you can pop those in if it's applicable. So it's normal practice to use colour schemes in slides, also designs. You can design your own, you can make it spectacular. I've seen some amazing things done with just Microsoft Office PowerPoint. You don't need to go into the web and get lots of designs, but they're out there too. So think about all of these different things when it comes to colour. Okay, so background effects. We're going to open the assessment presentation in the next bit of demonstration, and then we'll come back to the slide and have a look and see what we need to do. So back into our work files where we were, and there's an assessment. Okay, so I'm just going to switch back to the other one. You can stay, if you're doing this with me, you can stay on yours, but we're going to switch back and have a look and see what we need to do. So it's asking us to format the background, texture fill, and hide the background graphics. Bring in the ostrich image as a background fill and apply to all slides. So this is what we're actually going to do in order to do this. So we're going to do a texture fill, then we're going to go to the picture area. So we're going through this process, and then we're going to hide it once we've brought the graphic in. Okay, so into the training, and I'm going to right click, make sure I'm not in a placeholder. Notice if I right click in these, I won't get what I'm after. So I need to make sure I'm in a background. You can see the difference there. When you right click away from a placeholder, you will get the format background. You can also get the format background in the design tab. So in the design tab, it's the same feature there. So we're going to do a background. So I'm going to do it on a right click again, format background. It said about going into picture or texture fill. That opens up the option to bring in a picture. So we're going to go and pick up the ostrich picture from our work files on the desktop. Hopefully you've got yours on the desktop as well. Into the folder lecture materials, week 2, section 1, preparation. There's our work files and there's our ostrich. Now, notice the ostrich hasn't come on there. If we apply it to all, it's down here, then it does come in as a background. And whoa, what a background, okay? Obviously, we would have to do something about that in the real world. But what this is demonstrating is, because this is a design that's taken over, you can see this is the design we're using, Metropolitan. If we don't hide this graphic, this is a graphic here on the first page, then you won't see any background. So in order to do that, if you click on the first slide as and make sure it's selected and hide the graphic background here, you can see what happens. So sometimes in the exam, you may have graphics on every slide and they don't want it on the first one, so therefore it's hidden, but also it might be that they want you to take it off so that something else will override it. So remember, the hide background graphic is in the format background area. Okay, let's go back to our slide. So back into view, I'm going to switch back to the PowerPoint presentation. And you can see there on the slide, everything's there to remind you when it comes to revision with regard to hiding the graphics, using graphics and hiding the graphics of background. Also, we've got the metropolitan design. Let's explore the variant group colours. So these are the ones that come over here. So we can pick a design. We've got metropolitan. So we've done that, created that one with the big bird. So let's go back in interview and then through the switch window again. So if we take the ostrich off, the background off, we can undo and then or go back to the beginning or close and reopen without saving so that we're back to where we were. So we've got the assessment PowerPoint again, and we not only have designs here, we have what they call variants as well. So you may be asked to explore the variants. If I hover on them, they'll tell you, or show you, I should say, what they are, tell you them as well. I'm still on metropolitan as in a design, but the colours are changing. You can go into the colours themselves here and you can customize. So if you go into the customize colours at the end here, you can change things to your way of doing things. So you could like have a dark blue there, you could have text background light, all these different accents, and then you can name it as a colour variant that you want to use particularly for a particular PowerPoint. The way that these would work, you can see now in there that that's become that dark blue. The reason for this is that if you've got a PowerPoint with a particular professional colour scheme, I don't know if you notice in the CB we use a lot of purple and like a maroony colour. So you can have these colour schemes brought into your PowerPoint, particularly if they're work related. Okay, so let's switch back to our PowerPoint so we know what we're doing and how we're going about it. So we could save that as Big Bird, but we can also just that little bit more, just look at the way that we can use textures, we can use patterns. We've already used a picture, so let's go back over that again. So on a format background, remember if you right click, you've got gradients. So you've got different gradients with regard to this. These can be also changed. So you can click on a gradient stop and you can make that one more white. And you could click on that gradient stop and you could bring in a darker blue. And then you could have a preset. You could take the design off, go back to what you'd call no design taking over, back to, and you can see how that has now affected it. And then you can change these to make a difference as well. You could even bring something into that first one and you could make the colour a lighter blue. And you can see how that has an effect on your PowerPoint. Whoa. But obviously the presets here will also make a difference on how that goes. So you can make that white again. And you can see how that has a different effect. So you've got gradients, you've got pictures as we saw. We brought in a picture, we brought in the ostrich. There's also a building, background building, which you could apply to all. And then you would probably never see anything with that picture. But with that picture as well, you can change the transparency. So you can make it more and more transparent, which would make sense using this feature here. Texture came on when we didn't use a picture, so let's undo till we get rid of the picture. And you can see the texture came up there automatically. There are the textures. You can apply a texture, you can keep it on the one you've selected, or you can apply to all. And then you've got patterns. So people don't always realize the patterns are here. Whoa! And you can see how they could work quite well or be quite difficult, depending on what you're doing. Okay, so we've done a big overview of design considerations and those background effects. And we've looked at how we bring in background pictures, background texture. Variants can change when you use a design, a set design. You can change the colours used within it, the colour schemes, and you can actually do some of your own, so I'm customizing them. So remember all those different things in the exam, and particularly one of the things to remember is that hiding the graphic on a particular slide. So that's also in the format background. And when you right click for a format background, make sure you're right clicking in the right area. Remember the principles at the beginning with regard to considerations when doing a presentation and what the audience is, etc., because there will be some multiple choice questions on that. Moving on then to Slide Master. The Slide Master is, as it says here, it gives a uniform view to a PowerPoint. So in other words, all of your headings will be the same font size, the same font, and the same colours. So everything keeps nice and consistent. You can have the same bullets for level 1, the same bullets for level 2. You can see that these actually aren't. So you can change all of that within a master slide. So let's just look at the next slide and see what we've got. So you can see here, you can select a master slide and you can make all the changes. What you've got to be really aware of is that you're making it the top slide, the master. Okay, we go back to the previous one, this one. Let's change the way this one looks by using a slide master. So in the view tab up here, there is the slide master there. If you hover on it, it says controls the look of your entire presentation, so you don't need to change every title every time. If you put bullets in and they change, you don't need to worry about it. And lots of other things that we can do as well in a master. So let's go in here first. Remember we talked about the master, the main master, so you need to scroll right up and make sure you see the one that's used by majority of the slides, in this case 1 to 22. If you put it into the other one, it's not going to work. I'm going to have a look at that in a minute. So the main one at the top, you could change this top font here, going back to the Home tab. You can make that into 48. We can make it red just so it stands out for us. We could change the font to, let's do a Comic Sans. See, come on. Oops. Trying to get a Comic Sans to come up. Maybe an Arial might be better. Arial Black's really standing out. We can make the bullets, this first bullet, we can actually do a numbering. Let's do a bullet. So let's do a large hollow square bullet for the first level. The second level, oops, let's do bullets that are small square bullets. And this one just for fun, if we go to bullets, oops, let's do that again, took it off. Let's go to bullets numbering at the bottom, customize, and let's put a smiley face on that one. There's loads in here. If you go to wingdings, right towards the end, you've got lots of things that you could use, telephones, there's the wingdings too as well. So we're going to OK and OK that through. Let's make sure that bullet's on. Didn't pick it up, probably because I was messing around showing you something else. There we go. So now when we go back to the Slide Master tab, can move around away from it. So remember, it's always there. And you must close it in order to see the front end of your PowerPoint again. When we do that, notice how they all have what I've applied. I think there's one I noticed where it didn't. So on the odd occasion, what you could do, it's probably because it's been put in differently to the others. So you could just make sure that that applies. It's because it's been put in as a separate placeholder. Not very nice, I know, but I've done it just so that you can see the difference it can make. So we're going back. Let's leave that in before we go. Let's try bringing in what they call a logo or a picture or a graphic. And let's see what happens if we put it on the wrong slide. So we're going to insert, we're going into our folder again. We're going to get our pictures. And we're going to bring in the ostrich, the good old ostrich. Now I'm on the right slide, but let's say I cut that and I was sitting on this slide. And I pasted, it comes in. I thought, oh, I've got it. And I pop it in the corner there and I reduce it. And let's pretend it's an ostrich logo. And notice how it doesn't sit on each slide. Now a logo brought through the master slide should be seen on every slide. So I did, in this first sense, go and do the right thing by bringing it in on the master. And notice how quickly you can see that now on every slide. Remember, these graphics, you cannot delete them from the front because they've been inserted through the master. So if you need to remove them, you need to go into the master, slide master, all the way to the top. If you go to this one again and try to get it, can't get it, back up to the main master, click on it, hit the delete key, and it will work. I'm just going to do all of that because I completely ruined the presentation. And hopefully we're back to some sort of normality. Okay, so let's continue, and we're going to follow this. We're going to open up a new presentation, blank new presentation first. There it is. I'm going to minimize this so that we can see both. I'm going to follow this here. So if we go into View and then Slide Master, remember to go to the very top slide, the one used by slides, the main one. We're going to change the title placeholder back into the Home tab, and we're going to go for Arial. So it's not far off. Arial, rounded, empty, bold, and 48. Type it in. And then we're going to format the background. So format this area here, right click, make sure you're in the format background area. And we're going to go for a gradient, linear, which is on there, that's the type. And then direction is diagonal top left, bottom right. So diagonal top left, bottom right. So it's the first one. Okay, so we've done that. I haven't seen if it applies to all. But let's apply it to all. Okay, good. Right, so while that's there, we go back to the other PowerPoint and then drop down onto the next one. The next one talks about master slide date, footer, slide number, placeholders, and changing levels. So back to our, can switch between them here. There we go, haven't named it yet. So what we can do is you can see that on here you've got your dates. Let's bring it up a bit so you can see page number, footer, and date. And in the exam, you don't have to go into the master slide to do these. If we go back, if we go to the slide master and close, we've now taken that, we've got that. When we put in a new slide, title and contents, everything will be affected to that. So that's the consistency. If we go into the insert one, we've actually got this header and footer option here. It's date and time on its own, slide number on its own, header and footer, you can do everything. So it's a really easy way of putting stuff onto slides without having to go into the master slide and do it. And they considered that as okay. So you don't need to go all the way to the slide master to do that. We're going back into our PowerPoint, so back to view, and let's switch back over. So we've seen that. I showed the bullets earlier, how you can change all those on a right click. And other thing, Okay, let's have a look at Slide Master in action and how that main slide, Master of Masters, can affect things. So we're just going to follow this. So what we're going to do is go for a new presentation, again, a blank one. I'll minimize this so that you can see what we're doing over here. Okay. This is the main one. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into the View Slide Master. We're following this. The main title, up to the main title has got to be this one on the Master. So we're going to do this in Broadway. So Home, drop down, type in BR, and then we should be able to find Broadway. Go down a little bit. There it is. So we've done that in Broadway, and it's Broadway 50. Type it in to make life easier. And then it's talking about the subtitle in the title holder. So it's actually this one. This is your subtitle. It's only one in the title placeholder, the main title slide. So we're going to change this into 36 points and to homey. So go in there, drop down, TA to homey, and that one's changed as well. Let's just close the master. So back to Slide Master and close. Okay, so we've got one slide there. It says to add. So I'm going to make sure that when I add it, it's going to be a title and content. And then I can right click and next new slide because they'll all stay as title and content. So one, 2, 3, 4. So add 3 new. So the first one, we're going to call it slide 1. Second one, they're all following suit. 2. Slide 3. And slide 4. Couple of things here. Slide 4, if you've got a slide master taking over, and we have in this case, you can actually change one slide on the front, any slide you like, and change that to not meet the slide master if you change it on the front. So if I change this to something else, it won't affect the others, and if I put in a new slide, it won't affect the new slide. So sometimes you can have instances under the exam where you want a different effect. Slide must have taken over on that particular slide. It could be a diagram slide, for example. So you want to do something different. The other thing is, if we go to the tier, it's asking us to put in title slide in the first one. So I'll stick to what we're doing before I keep going off on a tangent. And then what it says is it closed. So we've done that, and we're going back into the master, and you can see how things can change. So you can see at the moment they're all the same, apart from the one I changed. Even if we did this one, slide 6. If we go back into the slide master, so back to view, back to slide master, and if we went up to the top one, it's saying, notice how all the titles were changed. So even though we did this one differently before, it's already now we've gone in, clicked in. So if we did this one by aerial rounded, so back to home, AR, like that, and you might have seen a quick change there. So when I actually come back to the slide master and close it, everything, even the title slide, gets overtaken, but not the one we did on the front. So it just points out how much control that will have, that main slide. It's really important to use it. Okay, so back to our PowerPoint on Slide Master. Okay, another area that needs to be covered for the syllabus and in real life is the areas within the master slide that we haven't done as yet. And that's about inserting a whole new slide master, which would have every the same different types of slide layouts in it, but it might be that is completely different, a whole different design. You might modify it slightly to meet your needs, and it can also be a slide master that holds another person's presentation or PowerPoint within there, so that it can switch to it when it's their turn to present. So let's have a look at that one first. So if we go into the one that we did earlier, presentation, we've still got this one. Let's open this up. So if we go into the view again and into the slide master, we looked at what we could do within the slide, but there are some areas that we need to look at for the exam. So with regard to inserting new slide master, I've just talked about it, what it'll do. And there's something else alongside which is called insert layout. And then we're going to be looking at different types of placeholders that you can use for those customized slides. So the first thing is if you click on, away from that, if you're clicked on the very top one here and we insert a slide master, it'll still go all the way down to the end because that's where it starts. So this slide master, if you like, might be in, let's just try and change them. So we've got a gradient color of blue. And this one, the new one here, could be a gradient color of green. Let's just pull that stop off. So we've got green and white. Okay, so you can pull those away so they don't apply. So that would be a whole different slide master, and you could switch between them if you wanted to do different things. The other thing that they may ask you to look at is on the next bit of the slide is inserting a customized slide. So if you hover on there, if you're not sure in the exam, you can always hover on these things if you're not sure. So you've got add a custom layout to the master slide set. So it's something you can create and then you can pick up from the slide layout. So if we inserted one, it might say to insert one after the master, tell you where it wants it. Insert layout, there it is. And this one, we could actually just maybe take the placeholders out. So if we click on the borders of the date holder and delete, and maybe the footer as well. We might just change this one to have a bit more green in it. You can see it staying different to the others. Another area they may ask you to use is to put in a placeholder. There's picture placeholders. So they would be straightforward in uploading a picture. One of the ones that they use to be aware of in the exam is a media. So you might have a media one where you're going to bring a film in. And if it is about making these particular or specific, there's a format tab that goes with them. And that will give you information about its size. So you might want 8 by 16. You might be asked to do that, you might need it like that to fit your media video in, and your picture you could change as well. So all of these you can rotate and use the usual things that you do, align, etc. So that's just customizing that particular one, and you notice it's only got a page number on it. So if we then close the slide master, back to there and close, if we went into our new slides, we've got the two different types. You've got your custom layout that we've just created, and then you've got your other slide master there as well. So you can use one or the other or both. And in the layout, you will also, if you right click there and you go to new slide, it'll just bring in a title and content. And this one, it follows the one previous. You put it in after a title and content in this new slide, because everyone does these all the time, but they don't really think about what they're bringing in. But if you want to bring in a customized slide, then you would go and get that customized layout, and there it is ready to go. So going back to our presentation, our guide, if you like, through this, switching windows back, and you can see that we've covered the inserting layout, and then the placeholders is another area too, as well as another master slide. And there it is about picking up and using that customized areas of slides, because not all of the slides in there will suit our needs. Okay, so that's it there. And then that takes us on to creating templates. So we're going to have a little quick look at templates. So once a template's been used and saved, you have to make it go into a particular folder if that's where you want to pick it up again. If you put it into the custom folder, you can pick it up through open and new. So when you go into open and new, you have an area where you've got customized presentations, and you might pick them up from the templates there. And if you've created one and saved it in here, you'll be able to pick it up on a regular basis. If I just come back, we go to our design, we have and you can browse. You could go and browse to your themes if that's what you wanted to do. And on this one, this is our custom design slide that we created called Office, and that's the one we use for the presentations of ICDL to keep consistency. So they can always be popped in there as well. You can add a particular design that you've got, customized design, to your gallery. So it says insert a slide and content slide in the slide master, change fonts to Georgia, font color. So they're all the different things. It's just running over what we've just done. I'll let you do that, and then save as a template to your desktop. So if you're in the exam and you were doing a save as, use the browse again to bring up the dialog box. When you change something into a template, then be aware that it goes to custom Office templates, and you can see that there's some in there that is normally on your C drive. In the exam, you need these to make sure that you are saving your template to the Z drive, to make sure that doesn't switch and change. This is where you would pick up ones that you want to be picked up by customizing. So that's it really in that area. It's pretty much everything with regard to templates. And we're just going to look at a couple of other options that you can also use in this. So there's an option here where you can copy and paste text into a slide outline. And this is good because you can bring stuff actually from a Word document. So let's have a go at this. So we've got a slide 1 title induction, new slide, slides from outline, and we're going to navigate to a Word document called induction. So if we just come down here, so we've got a new blank presentation. Let's follow this, just bring it over. So use the Word doc induction from the section 1 preparation folder. So if we click in here and we go into the slide there, there's something called slides from outlines. So we're going to use this feature. Instead of copying and pasting things in, we can actually use this. We're going to our desktop. I'm going to go to my desktop, pick up my lecture files, week 2, files, and then bring an induction, and then give it a moment. And what should happen is it's actually brought in those pieces of text in an outline format. So if we open this up and go to view, outline, remember the quick editing, that's where it's dropped it, and then it's gone on to separate slides automatically. My first one is still blank. If we look at the document itself in the work files, let's close that, don't need that anymore. So if we go back in the work files, sorry, they were there, there's the induction, and this is what we just brought in using the outlines feature. Really useful. So instead of having to copy and paste from there onto each slide, it's just brought these in and automatically bulleted them, given them headings, and then bulleted the other bits. Okay, and it worked really well. Another little feature, just close that, that we can look at is the next one down, which is about reusing slides. So people do, once again, duplicate or copy or all those things into a PowerPoint. But what you can do is, if you can click at the end, let's use our slide we've just had open here. So back to normal view, so we can see the slides, and let's click there. And we can go back to the home, and we're still using this new slide. So there's our slides from Outline, and then we can reuse slides. So okay, so if we use this reuse slides feature, instead of copying and pasting them in, we can drop these at the end of this slide. So this presentation has a bubbles design to it. We can pop these in and keep the existing design, or we can keep the sourcing and bring them in as they are. So it's quite useful. Then they can be hidden and brought out if they're needed, or etc. So that's the features, both of them in the new slide and their slides from Outline and reuse slides. Very, very useful. So back to our guide presentation. There they are. Okay, so the final slide in this week 2 area to have a look at are the file formats compatible with PowerPoint. So be aware of them, particularly one that's been highlighted. A lot of people don't really know that one. Also, the PowerPoint shows unusual to some. It just means it opens straight up in PowerPoint, so you don't need to start it. But the rest are pretty much what we know: POT-X, your template, PDFs we know, the old PPT and the new PPTX. Okay, so just be aware of all of those. That's the final slide on the first lecture, week 2. And I'm going to follow this up with the weekly revision exercises that are going to be questions 1 to 4.